So hello guys, welcome to Ashutosh Coaching Center. Now today we are going to start the chapter name is thermal properties of matter. अब thermal properties of matter में हमको पहले पढ़ना है heat and temperature. तो heat क्या होता है? heat ने पहले ही पढ़ा था. Heat is a form of energy and transferred between the two system of a system and its surrounding due to the temperature differences. The temperature is measured of hotness of a body and the SI unit of energy is joule and the SI unit of temperature is Kelvin and the C is commonly used in the used in the unit of temperature. Okay, अब उसके कहा जा रहा है द कॉन्वेंशियली द हीट एनर्जी क्यू सप्लाइड टू अ बॉडी इज टेकन टू बी अ पॉजिटिव प्लस यानी एंड द हीट एनर्जी गिवन आउट फ्रॉम द टेकन एज द टू बी निगेटिव क्यों. ओके, मेजरमेंट ऑफ द टेम्परेचर क्या होता है जानेंगे ब्रो. तो मेजरमेंट ऑफ टेम्परेचर में कहा गया फर्स्ट लाइन द मेजर ऑफ टेम्परेचर इज ऑब्टेन फ्रॉम यूजिंग अ थर्मोमीटर. ओके, और उसके बाद क्या ओके कह रहा है द कॉमनली यूज्ड प्रॉपर्टी इज द वेरिएशन ऑफ द वॉल्यूम ऑफ अ लिक्विड विद द टेम्परेचर एंड द कॉमनली यूज थर्मोमीटर स्केल आर सेल्सियस स्केल, केल्विन स्केल, फ़ारेनहाइट स्केल. सेल्सियस को 0 डिग्री कैसे करते हैं, इसको के से और इसको एफ से. रिलेशन बिटवीन द डिफरेंट टेम्परेचर स्केल एट स्टैंडर्ड टेम्परेचर स्टैंडर्ड प्रेशर एंड यहाँ पे दे रखा है द एफ पी यानी कि फ्रीजिंग पॉइंट ऑफ वाटर इज में जो है 0.0 डिग्री एंड 320 फ़ारेनहाइट एंड 273.15 के lower fixed point boiling point of water 100 degree Celsius 212 degree Fahrenheit and 373.15 degree Kelvin upper the fixed point. In Celsius and Kelvin the temperature difference between the freezing point and the boiling point of water are the same. Okay is the absolute zero. जीरो के जो एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यू जीरो होता है बिकॉज बिलो दिस वैल्यू वी कैन नॉट फाइंड एनी टेम्परेचर इन द यूनिवर्स. कन्वर्जन ऑफ द टेम्परेचर फ्रॉम वन स्केल टू अनदर. कैल्विन स्केल सी प्लस इतना, कैल्विन स्केल के माइनस 273, फ़ारेनहाइट दिस, सेल्सियस टू फ़ारेनहाइट दिस, फ़ारेनहाइट टू सेल्सियस दिस, कैल्विन टू फ़ारेनहाइट दिस. ओके, ideal gas. An ideal gas is a theoretical gas composed of a set of randomly moving point and the partial. इसको भी फोटो ले लीजिए, फॉर्मूला बहुत आगे काम आएगा आपके. ओके, नो इसको हटाइए. देखते आइडियल गैस क्या होता है. An ideal gas is a theoretical gas composed of a set of randomly moving and point particles that interact only through the elastic collision. Ideal gas equation PV is equal to nRT where P is equal to pressure and V is equal to volume and N is equal to ideal gas measured in the term of moles and R is equal to universal gas constant and T is equal to temperature. The absolute minimum temperature of an gas is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius and the temperature is designed at a absolute zero. And the absolute zero is the foundation of the Kelvin temperature scale or the absolute scale temperature. Boyle's law क्या कहता है? Boyle's law known as the gas law known as the Boyle's law assert that gas pressure is inversely proportional to its volume when it is filled at a fixed temperature and of a given mass. To put in another way, as long as temperature and volume of the gases remain constant, the pressure and the volume of the gas are inversely proportional to one another. For gas, the relationship between the volume and pressure P is directly proportional to 1 by V, where P is the pressure and the V is the volume, and adding a constant K. P is equal to K यानी कि multiplied by 1 by V is equal to PV is equal to K constant. As per Boyle's law, the product of the initial pressure and the initial volume of gas is equal to the product of the final pressure and final volume. Here at a constant temperature and the number of moles. Here P1 is P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. Boyle's law में ये क्वेश्चन कहा गया है. ओके, उसके बाद चार्ल्स लॉ क्या कहता है? Charles law. Charles law states that the volume. Okay, Boyle's law asserted that a gas pressure inversely proportional to the volume, and when it is added, ये तो हमने पूरा पढ़ लिया, जान लिया फॉर्मूला है, सो ऑन. अब चार्ल्स लॉ जानते हैं. चार्ल्स लॉ क्या होता है? चार्ल्स लॉ न्यू स्टेट दैट द वॉल्यूम ऑफ एन आइडियल गैसेज इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द एब्सोल्यूट टेम्परेचर एट कांस्टेंट प्रेशर. PV by T is equal to mu R, or PV is equal to mu RT, where mu is the number of moles of the sample of gases and R is the universal gas constant. Okay, थर्मल एक्सपेंशन क्या होता है? The increase in the dimension of a body due to the increase in its temperature and is called thermal expansion. The expansion in light is called linear expansion, and the expansion of area is called area expansion. The expansion in volume is called volume expansion. The fraction change in dimension is proportional to the change in temperature, and the corresponding proportional constant is called the coefficient of the thermal expansion and the thermal expansivity. Anomalous behavior of water. Water exhibits an anomalous behavior, and it contracts on heating between the 0 degree Celsius to 4 degree Celsius. The volume of a given amount of water and decreases as it is cooled and from the room temperature, and the unit its temperature is reaches 4 degrees Celsius. Thus, the water has a maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius. The environmental effect and the anomalous behavior of water. Bodies of water and such as lakes and ponds freeze at the top first. As a look as a lake cools towards 4 degrees Celsius and the water near the surface becomes denser and the sinks the water near the bottoms rises. Once the colder water on the top reaches and temperature and below the 4 degrees Celsius, it becomes less dense and remains at the surface and the freezes. The water did not have this property, and lakes and ponds would freeze from the bottom up, which would destroy much of their mammals and plant life. Heat capacity. Heat capacity of a substance is quantity of heat required to raise the temperature of the substance through the 1 Kelvin. S is equal to delta Q by delta T, where delta Q is equal to is the amount of heat supplied to the substance through the change its temperature from T to T plus delta T. Specific heat capacity. The specific heat or a substance is the quantity of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mass of the substance through the 1 Kelvin. S is equal to S by capital S by M, and 1 by M is into delta K by delta T. The depend on the nature of the substance is in its temperature. The SI unit of specific heat is equal to joule per kg per calorie. मोलर स्पेसिफिक हाई कैपेसिटी क्या होता है? इट इज़ द अमाउंट ऑफ हीट रिक्वायर्ड टू रेज टेम्परेचर ऑफ 1 मोल ऑफ अ सब्सटेंस थ्रू 1 डिग्री सेल्सियस और 1 केल्विन. सी इज इक्वल टू एस बाई म्यू एंड 1 बाई म्यू एंड डेल्टा क्यू बाई डेल्टा टी. The SI unit of molar specific and heat capacity is joule per mole per calorie. The molar specific heat at constant volume Cv, and the molar specific heat of gas at constant volume is the amount of heat required and to raise temperature of 1 mole of a gas through 1 Kelvin, and when its volume is kept constant. Molar specific heat at constant pressure Cp. The molar heat of the gas at constant pressure is defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole to the gas through a 1 K when the pressure is kept constant. Calorimetry. The act or science of measuring the changes in the substrate variable of the body in the order to the calculate to heat transfer and associated with the changes of its such of as physical changes or phase transition under the specific condition known as calorimetry. And this device is used to heat measurement and can be made is called a calorimetry. When a body at a higher temperature is brought in contact with other body at lower temperature and heat lost by the hot body is equal to the heat gained by the colder body, provided no heat is allowed to escape to the surrounding. Change of state. The transition from states, one state, solid, liquid or gas, states, another state is called change of state. The change of state, a change of state name of transition. Solid to liquid, melting, liquid to gas, vaporization, liquid to solid, fusion. लिक्विड सॉलिड क्या होता है फ्यूजन एंड सॉलिड टू गैस sublimation and during changes or states and different states from coexist is called thermal equilibrium. Okay, melting point क्या होता है the temperature at which solid liquid coexist in the thermal equilibrium with each other and in melting point and the melting point decreases and increases in the pressure boiling point. The temperature at which liquid and the vapor state of substance coexist in the thermal equilibrium with each other is called boiling point. The boiling point increases with the increases in the pressure and the decreases with the decrease in pressure. Regulation is the phenomena in which when pressure is applied, ice melts to the water below the 0 degree Celsius, and upon the pressure release and the freezes back to ice. And regulation illustrate the concept of compressing ice, converting it to water and under the pressure, and then resolidifying it when the pressure is released. Cook is a difficult at high altitude. Why? High altitude pressure is low and boiling point decreases with increases in pressure. For cooking rice, pressure cooker is preferred. Why? It is a preferred in preferred cooker in pressure cooker boiling point of water is increased by the increased pressure, thus rice can be cooked at high temperature. Latent heat क्या होता है the amount of heat per unit mass transferred during the change of heat. मतलब हर एक मतलब नहीं है लेटेंट फिजिक्स में क्या होता है कि किसी भी सब्सटेंस का जो होता है ना पर यूनिट हीट ट्रांसफर जो होता है किसी दूसरे स्टेट में उसको हम लोग कहते हैं लेटेंट हीट or the substance is called latent heat of substance for the process. If m of the substance undergoes a change from one state to the other, and then the quantity of heat required is given by the q is equal to ml and l is equal to q by m. Latent heat is characteristic of substance and it depend on the pressure, and the unit is joule per kg. The latent heat for a solid liquid state is called latent heat of fusion. Okay, मतलब लिक्विड स्टेट में जो चेंज होता है उसको हम लोग फ्यूजन कहते हैं. उसके बाद क्या होता है एंड दैट ऑफ अ लिक्विड स्टेट चेंज इज कॉल्ड द हीट ऑफ वेपराइजेशन. हीट ट्रांसफर क्या होता है हीट ट्रांसफर इज डिफाइंड एज द ट्रांसफर ऑफ हीट फ्रॉम वन region to the low temperature region and the following are modes of heat transfer. इसका अगर फोटो ले लेटेंट हीट ऑफ फ्यूजन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ओके, एग्जाम के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बहुत काम आ सकता है. अब आता है सी ब्रिज क्या होता है ना. सॉरी उससे पहले ये मारा गया था. हीट ट्रांसफर यहाँ तो कोई दिक्कत तो था नहीं. इसका पहला है कंडक्शन. क्या है कंडक्शन क्या डिफाइंड एज द हीट ट्रांसफर फ्रॉम टू सॉलिड एंड दूसरा है कन्वेक्शन. इट इज डिफाइंड एज द ट्रांसफर व्हेन बिटवीन द सॉलिड एंड लिक्विड. उसके बाद रेडिएशन. इट इज डिफाइंड एज द ट्रांसफर ऑफ हीट देयर इज नो मीडिया इन्वॉल्व. कंडक्शन क्या होता है कंडक्शन इज द मैकेनिज्म ऑफ ट्रांसफर ऑफ हीट फ्रॉम द एडजेसेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द body because of their temperature differences. Heat is equal to Ka Tc minus Td by L. The constant of proportionality K is called the thermal conductivity of the material, and the greater value of K for a material and for more rapidly will it conduct heat. The SI unit of K is joule per second per mole per calorie या फिर W per mole per calorie. ठीक है. उसके बाद कह रहा है सम कुकिंग पोट्स हैव copper coating on its bottom. Why? Because of high thermal conductivity of copper, and it distribute heat over the bottom of pot very fastly, and the promotes uniform cooking. Convection क्या होता है? Convection is a mode of heat transfer by the actual motion of matter, and it is possible only in fusion. And convection can be natural and or forced. In natural convection, when the fluid is heated and the expansion becomes less denser, less dense, and it rises up, and the colder part replaces, and there and this process is goes on a cycle on a cycle. In a forced convection, material or force to move by the pump or by the physical means. Some example are cooling system of or automobile changes heat that circulate the blood through our body. उसका सी ब्रिज क्या होता है? सी ब्रिज, दिस इज द प्रोसेस takes place for the duration day, and both the sea and the land surface are heated by the sun, and the sea heat up the slower than the land, and it has much higher heat capacity. Thus the temperature over the land surface increases, and the turn heating up to the air, and expansion occurs in the less dense warm area over the land having what low pressure and is developed at the same time on the top of the sea at high pressure देखो at a high pressure and area developed due to the difference in pressure. The air flows from the high pressure over the sea to the low pressure over the land. This flow of air from the sea to the land is termed as the land bridge. The process takes place for the duration of the night, and above the mentioned process gets reversed, and both the land and the sea starts cool down when the sun sets. As the heat capacity of the land is different from the sea, and it cools down the quicker. Thus, a low pressure situation develops over the sea as the temperature above at it is higher, and when compared to its land, and due to this the air flow from the land to the sea, and which is termed the land bridge. The land bridge can occur at any time of the year, but more prevalent during the fall and winter season when the temperatures are still fairly warm and night are cool. Radiation क्या होता है? Defined as the heat transfer they where where there is no when there is no media involved. Earth receive energy from the sun by the means of radiation. The thermal radiation is transferred of heat by the means of electromagnetic radiation and generated by the thermal motion of the particles in matter. When this thermal radiation falls on the bodies, it is partly and reflected and the partly absorbed. The amount of heat that body can absorb by the radiation depend on the color of the body. The black bodies absorb and the emit radiant energy better than the body of lighter color, and we wear white and light color in summer, so they absorb the least heat of the sun. During the winter we use dark color cloths which absorb heat from the sun and keep our body warm. And the bottom of the utensil for cooking food are the black made, and so they absorb the maximum heat from the fire, and when it gives the vegetable to be cooked. Okay, न्यूटन्स ने भी कुकिंग लॉ भी कहा था. न्यूटन का कुकिंग लॉ क्या कहता है? देखो, कूलिंग लॉ, सॉरी, the rate of heat is directly proportional to the heat of transport and the body and the surrounding. The laws of heat radiation depend on the nature of the surface of body and the area of the exposed surface. Minus dq by dt is equal to k to t2 minus t1, where the k is the positive constant depend on the area and nature of the surface of body. So guys, this video has been finished, and thanks for watching video till the end. And don't forget that you are part of journey of needs, so don't forget it to like, share and subscribe. Bye bye and see you next video.